Well, about 4 years ago, my wife and I set out to find a piece of farm property. We were anxious to move out of the mountains and start a sustainable farm close to Boulder. We have strong ties in the Boulder community, so we wanted to find the property that is close to Boulder, but also at a reasonable price. And the prices in Boulder, as a lot of people know, can be all over the board, not necessarily justified, and it's hard to make sense of them. So we had had our eye on a property for quite a while that we were interested in. It looked a little complicated when you factored in all the water rights and the conservation easements that were put on the property, and that seemed to be the case with a lot of the interesting properties we were looking at. So we ended up contacting David through realestate.com to go look at the property, and we interviewed him and felt comfortable starting the process with him, although a little bit apprehensive because we knew that there were going to be complex factors involved in the purchasing decision. And in fact, that's what happened. It ended up taking us 2 years and 3 different contracts to get to the property that we wanted to have. And we now own a 30-acre farm about 4 miles west of Boulder. It's a great location, it's great land, and achieved a lot of our objectives. And David did a great job in sort of stewarding us through the all the decisions that we needed to make, working with the different real estate agents who may or may not have understood completely all of the issues that were important to us or were involved in buying agricultural land. And one of the big factors were the water rights, whether or not the water was adjudicated. And even though we could see water on the land, we wanted to make sure we'd be able to use that water moving forward, which is complicated. It involves a lot of complicated water law. David was able to help us in obtaining all the knowledge that we needed to get to go through that process, and that involved working with county officials to understand all of the development issues that might happen on our property. We wanted a piece of property that didn't have too much development on it already because we didn't want to pay for somebody else's dreams. We wanted something that had some infrastructure so that we didn't have to start at square one. So there were a lot of trade-offs in that ideal property for us, and not really a lot of choices. So we had to do a lot of creative thinking. We were looking at lots adjacent to each other that we might own more than one property, and David really helped us sort through all of those options. He had a lot of integrity, a lot of honesty. He was diligent and thorough in his process. Wanted to make sure that in the end we'd be happy with what we got, and he never strayed from what were our goals and our intentions in the purchasing process. I think he really believed that if he did a good job, then whatever result occurred would be the right result. And he never was pushing for us to make up our minds more quickly than we were ready, or to push for the sale to go through no matter what. He allowed the process to unfold naturally, and it took a while. We got to know him quite well, and fortunately we enjoyed working with David. We spent a lot of time out walking on farms and learning about them and looking at the soil and learning about the water delivery systems and the ditches, and that was all very enjoyable.